Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi friends, welcome to my video column, and today we are going to talk about Jammu and Kashmir. We are talking about Jammu and Kashmir because there have been recently a flurry of developments there. One, we have seen Gupkar declaration, then we have new land laws which were introduced on October 27th, then three BJP activists were killed recently, and then the crackdown on half a dozen NGOs and two media outlets. So what does these developments signal? These developments, I believe they signal that we are entering into the third phase, or we have entered into the third phase of the Kashmir policy of Modi government. So first, let me talk about the first two phases to give you a context. The first phase of Kashmir policy was started when on August 5, 2019, Jammu Kashmir was reorganized into two union territories, and it was Article 370 was amended and Section 35A was taken away. The second phase started when GC Murmu, a bureaucrat, was brought in as the Lieutenant Governor of the newly carved out Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. His task was pretty cut out that he had to realign the administrative processes and structures according to the new status of Jammu and Kashmir in the federal structure of the government after it became UT. Then the third phase started when Mr. Manoj Sinha, a former minister in the Bharatiya Janata Party government, at the center in its first term. So he's a former union minister. He was brought in as the lieutenant governor, and the idea was basically to start a political process there, or to expedite the political process which had started. So we will look at the three key components of the third phase of Kashmir policy. The first is political engagement. So Modi government, one, it remains undeterred by the Gupkar declaration. Gupkar declaration is a declaration which was made by leaders of National Conference, People's Democratic Party, and some other smaller political parties. So they came together, they sat in residences of one of the leaders at Gupkar Road in Srinagar. It is a road which is less than about a kilometer long, and it has the residences of the most high profile public figures from Jammu and Kashmir. It also has the official CM residence there. So as I spoke to a number of people on this, one of them interestingly commented that the name Gupkar declaration itself shows that how irrelevant they are or how cut off from the reality they are, because Gupkar is an elite area, and when you are there, you are actually basically cut off from the realities of the rest of the state. So that itself shows that these are the leaders who were there in house arrest or in detention for pretty long, for some time after Article 370 was amended. And now when they have come out, they failed to find any support, public support during that time, and just to make them to find relevance in this whole process, or to ensure that they don't become irrelevant. So they are struggling hard. And Gupkar declaration, which has adopted a very belligerent posture over the changes carried out by the Modi government, it has opposed all these changes. So that is the crux of this Gupkar declaration, and it's not going to affect Modi government's resolve. Neither it is going to affect the state of politics in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, right now, as we are talking, the process for holding the district council elections in Jammu and Kashmir is already on, and hopefully it will be completed soon, and that will be kind of a full closure of the political process at the grassroots level, which was started in 2018 with long pending panchayat polls which were conducted at that time. Now the district council elections are being held. The Modi government is expecting that a whole lot of new political leadership will come up from the grassroots level, and it will fill the vacuum which has been created because these parties like PDP and National Conference, they had become pocket boroughs of certain political leaders, and actually had become irrelevant, and they had lost people's support. So it is also generally said that apart from a few districts in Jammu and Kashmir, none of these parties hold sway over any other area, and it's a very small area. So whether they contest elections or not, whether they participate in political process or not, so it just doesn't matter. And then we will come to crackdown on separatists and terrorists. This is the second key component of the third phase of Kashmir policy of Modi government. So the crackdown on separatists and terrorists would continue. The hard line which this government has taken, it is not going to soften up. In fact, the first we'll talk about the separatist thing. The recent raids on half a dozen NGOs and then two media outlets, the crackdown on them, all those, this is all part of an effort to break the nexus between the so-called human rights activists and some of the NGOs which are getting funding from a lot of dubious resources, and some of the elements which are trying to peddle the propaganda of separatism in the garb of running media outlets. As far as terrorism is concerned, the security forces have wiped out almost 24 commanders of various terrorist outfits in this year, and virtually the whole leadership of the terror machine which has been running in Jammu and Kashmir. So it has been virtually wiped out. So the terrorist groups, in fact, they have become so desperate that they started attacking the political activists, and that's why we saw the killing of 3 BJP activists also. And then the relentless pursuit of these terrorists is going to continue. That is a clear indication. And one interesting thing also, I spoke to a number of people, came to know that there is an investigation also, most likely, which is going on probably into the Binami properties, which have been built by or bought by a number of public figures or political leaders in Jammu and Kashmir. So in days to come, we might see some action on that front also, which will expose that how corruption done by the so-called separatist leaders and some of the political leaders. So how they filled up their own individual coffers while the common people didn't get much. Then we come to the administrative and legal reforms. So overall, more than 24 acts have been kind of amended, appealed over the last 1 year. The latest one is the new land laws, and the new land laws, as we know, that it allows people from all over the country to buy land in Jammu and Kashmir. So this would help. So there are some riders also related to agricultural land, and there are still some clarifications which are being sought, but largely people can buy land from residents of other states can buy land in Jammu and Kashmir also. So this is going to benefit the common people, and in fact, in Jammu and Kashmir there is no private university till now. There is no major corporate hospital there till now. One of the reasons is because of the earlier clauses which governed the ownership of land. But with these new land laws, people are expecting, and the government is expecting, that new industry and especially private universities, educational institutions, hospitals, so all these are going to make a beeline and make huge investments there. And ultimately, it is going to benefit the common people. Apart from that, in the parliament session, the Jammu Kashmir, the central government brought a law which made Kashmiri, Hindi and Dogri also as the official language of the Jammu and Kashmir. So it was a long pending demand. Before that, the issue of permanent residence certificate has already been taken up, and in days to come, we are going to see more administrative and legal reforms. The Modi government would continue to pursue that, to push for that. So in nutshell, we can say that the idea in this third phase is to bridge the gap between the administrative machinery and the aspirations of the common people. The misgovernance which Jammu and Kashmir has witnessed in the past, so that misgovernance, the government wants to undo that, and ironically, people who were at the helm of affairs and under whom this misgovernance happened, so they are the ones who have come together to give a clarion call under Gupkar declaration. So you can understand that how much connect they have with the people. But it's very clear that this Modi government is going to continue with its multi-pronged strategy. And I again reiterate the three key elements of these are that political engagement would continue, especially at the grassroots level, to nurture the democracy at the grassroots level. The hardline against the terrorists and the separatists, that is also going to continue, while the government would push for more administrative and legal reforms for the benefit of the common people. Thank you.